A Joint Custody Christmas was released in 2025. This is directed by Skip Konte, written by Konte and Roland Cañamar, and a cast including Matthew Garbacz, Joel Riley Martin, Lucy Grundberg, Eric Roberts, and various others, and I apologise if I've mispronounced any of those names. If the topic really appeals to you, then maybe the film is worth watching, but I didn't really love it. There are some good aspects which I will praise, but for the most part, I didn't find it to be that entertaining. It's about two teenagers who are fed up of constantly moving between their parents. The parents are separated. They spend some time at one house, some time at the other, and the parents are court-ordered to find a neutral residence for the kids to stay at permanently, and the parents will travel back and forth. I don't know if that would ever happen. Please feel free to confirm or deny if that's the case. But as a concept, I think that that's really fascinating. And I think something that parents should bear in mind. Obviously, if parents need to separate, it needs to happen, but they need to be aware of the fact that constantly going back and forth is really, really difficult. It's something that I have experience with. Would they like it if they constantly had to go back and forth between a property? And this is exactly what unfolds. As a concept, I thought it sounded interesting, and it's a really important topic. As I said, it can provide some really strong food for thought. It raises some really interesting points. But while the topic is interesting, I just found it to be a really miserable experience. There are moments that are a little more uplifting, but the whole thing is quite dire, and I don't want to watch a film and come away from it feeling just miserable with everything. So it wasn't a great experience. Even films that are heavier and more hard-hitting and more emotional have more uplifting and positive and hopeful moments that are more impactful. This one was just miserable from start to finish, and I didn't really feel that it had very much to offer in terms of interesting plot points. The pacing was okay-ish, but not a lot happened that was actually interesting. The characters do feel realistic. The family dynamic is believable, or I guess lack thereof with certain aspects, and that does work well, but not enough to save the film. We do have some good camera work, we have some good lighting, we have some subtle aspects of Christmas, but it's definitely not an over-the-top Christmas film. Would it have saved it if it had been more Christmassy? I don't think so, but I think with this kind of narrative, it's not the story you're going to watch to get into the holiday spirit. So I don't mind the fact that there wasn't a tremendous amount of Christmas with this one. As I said, if the topic really appeals to you, if it's a story in which you might find some comfort, then absolutely give it a go. But if you're just looking for an interesting, entertaining, thought-provoking watch, then apart from the overarching narrative itself being thought-provoking, the execution isn't that fascinating, and it probably isn't worth watching.